Good morning, good morning, good morning. You all know it is really early in the morning over here at Miss Aurora's. Okay, in this video, I really want to get into this discussion that took place between Senator Hawley and Mark Zuckerberg. This is the finest example of CEO know and don't know, do's and don'ts. Okay, let's get into it. You already know that I am Miss Aurorah Dey, and this is the Secured Entrepreneur Movement. All right, so the conversation starts off, very nice. And you will see that Senator Hawley just starts off asking these questions about the sharing of information between platforms. Okay, take a listen.
I'm talking about content moderation. I'm talking about individuals, websites, hashtags, phrases to ban. Is it your testimony that you do not communicate with Twitter or Google about content moderation, about individuals, websites, phrases, hashtags to ban? Just yes or no. Do you communicate with Twitter or Google about coordinating your policies in this way?
Senator, we do not coordinate our policies.
Do your Facebook content moderation teams communicate with their counterparts at Twitter or Google?
Senator, I'm not aware of anything specific, but I think it would be probably pretty normal for people to talk to their peers and colleagues in the industry.
It would be normal, but you don't do it?
No, I'm saying that I'm not aware of any particular conversation, but I would expect that some level of communication probably happens. But that's different from coordinating what our policies are or our responses in specific instances.
Well, fortunately, I understand that the task platform is searchable. So will you provide a list of every mention of Google or Twitter from the tasks platform to this committee?
Senator, that's something that I can follow up with you and your team after on.
Well, yes or no, I'm sure you can follow up with the list, but why don't you commit while I've got you here under oath? It's so much better to do this under oath. Will you commit now to providing a list from the tasks platform of every mention of Google or Twitter?
Senator, respectfully, I'm without having looked into this, I'm not aware of any sensitivity that might exist around that. So I don't think it would be wise for me to commit to that right now, but so I would be happy to follow.
How many items on the task platform reflect that Facebook, Twitter, and Google are sharing information about websites or hashtags or platforms that they want to suppress?
Senator, I do not know.
Will you provide a list of every website and hashtag that Facebook content moderation teams have discussed banning on the task platform?
Senator, again, I would be happy to follow up with you or your team to discuss further how we might move forward on that. But without
will you commit to it here? Senator Cruz and Senator Lee both asked you for lists of individuals, websites, entities that have been subject to content moderation. You expressed doubt about whether any such information exists, but you've also now said that the task website, you've acknowledged the task platform exists, that it is searchable. So will you commit to providing the information you have logged on the task website about content moderation that your company has undertaken? Yes or no?
Senator, I think it would be better to follow up once I've had a chance to discuss with my team what any sensitivity around that would be that might prevent the kind of sharing that you're talking about. But once I've done that, I would be happy to follow up.
All right. So you won't commit to do it here. We could, of course, subpoena this information, but I'd much rather get it from you voluntarily. But I think let everybody take note that Mr. Zuckerberg has now repeatedly refused to provide information that he knows that he has and has now acknowledged that he has, that Tasks has under oath. Let me switch to a different topic.
Okay, first I want to commend Mark Zuckerberg, okay, for his demeanor. He's calm, okay, and listen to what he's saying now. I'm not going to be quick to say yay or nay on this. I would like the opportunity to get with my team, discuss it, and then I will be able to come back to you with an answer. Okay, I think that is the correct thing to have said. If in fact you don't know, okay, you're saying you've never heard of such things, all right? And then, do you think that it was condescending? What are your thoughts about how Senator Hawley is really now going in on Mark Zuckerberg? Listen to this.
Mr. Zuckerberg, tell me about Centra. What is the Facebook internal tool called Centra?
Senator, I'm not aware of any tool with that name.
Well, let me see if this refreshes your memory. There's a demonstrative now over my shoulder. Centra is a tool that Facebook uses to track its users, not just on Facebook, but across the entire internet. Centra tracks different profiles that a user visits, their message recipients, their linked accounts, the pages they visit around the web that have Facebook buttons. Centra also uses behavioral data to monitor users' accounts, even if those accounts are registered under a different name. And you can see a shot here, a screenshot provided to us of the Centra platform. We blocked out the user's name in the interest of privacy, although you can see this individual's birth date and age, when they first started using Facebook, their last login, as well as all manner of trackings. How many different devices have they used to access Facebook? How many different accounts are associated with their name? What accounts have they visited? What photos have they tagged? And on and on and on. Mr. Zuckerberg, how many accounts in the United States have been subject to review and shut down through Centra?
Senator, I do not know because I'm not actually familiar with the name of that tool. I'm sure that we have tools that help us with our platform and community integrity work. But I am not familiar with that name.
Do you have a tool that does exactly what I've described and that you can see here over my shoulder? Or are you saying that that doesn't exist?
Senator, I'm saying that I'm not familiar with it and that I'd be happy to follow up and get you and your team the information that you would like on this. But I'm limited in what I can, what I'm familiar with and can share today.
It's always amazing to me, Mr. Chairman, how many people before this committee suddenly develop amnesia. Maybe it is something about the air in the room. Let me ask you this. When a Facebook employee accesses a user's private information, like their private messages or their personally identifiable data, is a record made of that, Mr. Zuckerberg?
Sorry, Senator, could you repeat that?
Is a record made of any time a Facebook employee accesses a user's private information, personally identifiable information, for example, messages? Is a record made any time a Facebook employee does that?
Senator, I believe so.
Does it trigger an audit?
Senator, I think sometimes it may.
How many audits have been conducted?
Senator, I do not know the exact number of
Can
audits.
you give me a list?
Senator, we can follow up on that to see what would be useful here.
Will you, I'm almost finished, Mr. Chairman. Will you commit to giving us a list of the number of times Facebook employees have accessed users' personal account information without their knowledge? Yes or no?
Senator, we should follow up on what would be useful here. It is, of course, in the operations of the company, if someone reports something, sometimes necessary for people at the company to go review and understand the context around what is happening when someone reports something. So this is fairly frequent and is a matter of course. We do have security systems that can detect anomalous patterns to flag. But we should follow up in more detail on what you're interested in.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, I want to say this right here. When Mark is saying he's not heard of this particular software, he needs the opportunity to investigate it, okay? And then Senator Harley is saying, well, here it is right here, all of these things. Now, I'm just going to tell you that there's a lot of platforms out here. Ms. Aurorah has hired people to do things. All right, I have tried to do things. I can tell you right now, if you go down below in the box or whatever, there's probably some links they're going to. I don't know where they're going to, and I'm just going to say that because 9 times out of 10, either that's not what I do. That's not what I do. I create systems. People work within the system, okay? Other people have to get hired to do what they do. Ms. Aurorah is more focused on what she does best, okay? So is it possible that Mark Zuckerberg is the type of CEO who's really concentrated on what he does best? Or is this a situation where, he delegates? He's the one that's in control of these things, and maybe he is aware, or maybe he does know, but at the time of the questioning, the best thing for him to do is say he needs to get the support of his team, find out some stuff, and then come back. Now, you see how Senator Harley is saying, your privacy is being stolen. Now, here's what I want to say to that. As I'm saying, we are all putting, anybody who's selling anything online, you're selling courses, you're selling information, anything like that, your information is hooked up on these platforms, okay? So I want, all of my secured entrepreneurs, I'm talking even the hackerpreneurs, all these programpreneurs, okay? When he's asking Mark Zuckerberg, how many times does a Facebook employee, when they go into somebody's personal account, on somebody's personal page, is that logged? Because what is that person doing? Is that person now taking your information, your intellectual property, things that you may or may not have trademarks and copyrights on, patents even on, you know what I'm saying? Because we do know that when you put your stuff on these people's platforms, your courses, your intellectual property, 9 times out of 10, it is being stolen by the employee. All right, I'm going to say that now. Whoever has something to say, please comment below. Comment below and let Miss Aurorah know, okay? Were you the one who did it? Or you the one who worked for a company who knows that people are doing it? I don't know. But where I'm going with this is that what Senator Hawley is saying, yes, these are things that are happening on just about every platform. So do you think that it's right for Mark Zuckerberg to now say he's unaware, he doesn't know, and he has to get back to the senator?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just say in closing that what we have here is clear evidence of coordination between Twitter, Google, and Facebook. Mr. Zuckerberg knows he has the tools to track this, but he either doesn't remember or won't commit to letting us see it. We have evidence of Facebook tracking its own users all across the web. Mr. Zuckerberg won't answer questions about it, can't remember the name, isn't sure if the tool is deployed in this way, and won't commit to giving us basic information. I submit to you that this is both totally unacceptable and totally predictable, because it is exactly what these tech companies have done to the American people and to Congress for years now, which is why it is time we took action against these modern-day robber barons. Thank you.
I'm grateful that Senator Hawley points out also that these are tech companies. He just didn't say, okay, it's just Facebook. He's saying what the tech companies are doing to the American people, okay, as it relates to stealing your information, following you all around the internet, getting your information, and maybe there's some other things that are happening that Ms. Aurorah has not been made aware of yet, but I'm going to depend on all of the secured entrepreneurs to comment below and let me know what your thoughts are on what is really happening as it relates to your personal information on any of these platforms. Now, I'm not one who agrees with putting all your personal information out on Facebook, putting all your personal information out on Instagram, any of that. My whole thing about this discussion and what is really happening has to do with all of the entrepreneurs who sell knowledge or information, okay, online, and how when you're putting them on platforms, what's Kajabi is famous for courses, Teachable is famous for courses, okay. We have the infamous ClickFunnels where you're selling products, you know what I'm saying, and maybe some services, all right. Do these people, like the senator is saying, these people who, when you get on the live chat or you get on the help desk or whatever, however you're going to get assistance, and you have someone that now goes into your back office and they're helping you do so and so, is it logged? Is it logged? And can you see them log in again to maybe take whatever it is you got back there? Because we do know that there are people who will mysteriously end up with some information, okay? And then they go and sell that information. They did not create the information, and then sometimes they will end up with that information, repackage the information, okay? And I've seen some of this, like, wait, I saw that so-and-so was doing that, and then they put little other stuff in there, okay? Where's the accountability for that? Because they have maybe changed it up a little bit. So if you have a copyright or a trademark, what is your recourse? Like, I want the secured entrepreneurs to let Ms. Aurorah know how it is that you're handling these things, because I know personally I have had some things stolen. I mean, I've seen it, okay? I've seen it, all right? And there is recourse because of the protections that I have in place, all right? But if you don't have protections in place, what can you really do? All right, so that's what Ms. Aurorah wants to say in this video. You can find me, Miss Aurorah Dey, at AurorahDeyConsulting.com. And thank you so much for continuing to email me. Please continue to do so at info@AurorahDeyConsulting.com. Until next time.